Yes, mine obviously is author. I'm a self-published one now, a proper one. I've published books before, but never at this length or with this seriousness of intent, and it feels different. On Sunday, having sold 13 copies on Saturday, I woke up feeling completely different with a different intent to take myself seriously in that capacity too. So I'm enjoying that bit. You can tell it's Thursday. I'm slightly over it now because this was last weekend. But yesterday, I didn't do any particular marketing, had a busy day, sold 2 copies. And I remember thinking, if I sold 2 copies every day for the rest of my life, that would be lovely. Thanks very much.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
You can imagine how much I've enjoyed sitting here by myself for 13 minutes, can't you?
Oh, no, not very much at all, I can imagine.
No, it's all right. I'm over it. I should warn you that I've got the longest number of notes for an episode we've ever done, and this is our 161st. So we need to crack on.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Well, I'm not sure. It's a bit ranty. I'm not sure you'll agree. Tell me about your week.
It's been a very up and down week. I've had, I think it's just been the thought of having to go home. I've been having nightmares about packing at the last minute and all that stuff, subconscious stress dreams, I think. Yeah, I've got a workshop lined up halfway through. I've got a client visit lined up. So, it's not going to be so bad, but I am a little bit trepidatious about the whole thing, I must say. But I've had a lovely week. Apart from that, Write Club, the podcast launched, and we've had nearly 400 listens. The Professional Writers Association want to interview us. It's all going very well. So my hobby project is doing well, and we went out for dinner last night to celebrate. So yeah, that's all good.
What about you? Dinners and celebrations. There's a lot of dinners and celebrations in the Write Club podcast, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It's because they've got nothing else to do, bless them. That's not true. I mean, that's not true. Stephanie does have something. She helps out her son and daughter-in-law, but everyone else is retired, so everyone's always looking just for any excuse to go to the taverna, basically, and have a nice dinner. Been a fantastic slap-up feast last night for €13.
Very nice.
Yes, it was. So tell me about your week then.
Well, I promised the world that I would get my book out in November, and in fact, it was last Friday, the 1st of December. I was able to supply my clients a free copy, and you and Tom Evans, who is a chap who's a very prolific writer who's done a lot of supporting of my writing over the years. And on the 2nd, which was a Saturday, I tried to persuade your sister to help me start selling it from my website, but she had social plans, can you believe it, on a Saturday. So having given away my free samples to my contributors and my current clients, I got up very excited, as you can possibly imagine, on a Saturday morning, and I set it up all by myself, Nicola. You're going to be very proud when I tell you that I opened a page on my website from which I gave away a chunky free sample, and people had to opt into my MailChimp newsletter list to do it. Now, that's something you can do in your sleep, but it's not something that quite a lot of people can do, and I wasn't sure that I could do it. But I went and followed what Marion had done when she'd given away 2 free ebooks on my website. So that worked. I downloaded the sample. It worked. I then put on a link where people could buy the book, having created an online shop at Sells, which I'm going to talk to you quite a lot about today because I'm very pleased. And I cunningly called that page judithmorgan.com/book. I'm quite proud of my technical bits and bobs, I have to say. And but Sarah and I are still looking at maybe a WooCommerce plugin, but there was a warning, which means I wouldn't need a third-party platform. There was a warning that said, be careful before you do this because it might conflict with your theme. And I thought, I'm all about forward movement today. If something conflicts with my theme and stops me in my tracks, that's not going to be good. So I went for Sells. And let me see what else got me excited. I mean, it's just exciting, basically. It's a Saturday morning. And what else? I've just spent 4 months writing a book. What am I going to do? So I've worked out now that in future I can have a workable schedule for volumes 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 of this, which is you do the writing in August and September, you've got the team standing by, and you publish on the 1st of December, which has got quite a nice rhythm to it in a funny sort of way, and it'll make it all go much more smoothly because a deadline's quite a useful thing for all involved. And before, I didn't know how long any of its bits were going to take. So now it's all down to the marketing. There are 52 questions, so that could be one for each newsletter, blog and Facebook note of 2018. I'm making these tiny daily video tips. I'm trying to bring them in after under a minute. I found a woman in America who I can afford to do my Facebook ads for me. I want to do a 52-stop blog tour offering affiliates. Coincidentally, I was asked to do an interview next week anyway with a chap who wants to hear my story. And I did Angel yesterday, the guy in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh,
that was fun.
Amazing.
And lovely man, and he remembered you. And I said, I'm going to post podcasts. He said, who'd you do it with? I said, I'd do it with Nicola, who was on your episode number 300 and something. I'm on 1817. So hasn't the man done well since then? Yeah. And anyway, everything I'm going to tell you today, so that's all about my week. My book's been all about the week, and everything I'm going to tell you today is about book marketing and the sales process and experiences so far.
Marvellous. Good. Oh, that's marvellous. Yeah. That's all marvellous. That's all very exciting. And you must feel incredibly pleased that you're achieving all this. I love your little videos, by the way. They're really cool.
Oh, thanks. Okay. I mean, obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, there is nothing like the ka-ching, is there, where you get the notice that somebody's bought your thing. And last weekend, there was quite a lot of marketing. I sent out an email newsletter, and everybody that's bought a copy so far, and I've got some stats for you later on, which you'll like, but everybody bar one is somebody I know who's, I wouldn't say not just being kind, but being kind. And I sent most of them a Facebook private message which said, thank you for your support. And Claire Hanbury, who's one of our listeners, said, support? I've been waiting for this for ages. So it was interesting how people were kind in different ways. But I'll tell you so much exciting technical and statty type of stuff you're going to like later.
Oh, good. Well, your book came out the same week as James Schramko's, so I've been cramming both of them, as well as trying to read.
I've got some marvellous news about us and James Schramko later on, actually.
Oh, indeed. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I as well as trying to read the books that I'm supposed to be reading for the people that I'm supposed to be interviewing for Write Club, so I've got quite a lot of reading. Yeah. But I found something.
Well, now you know what it's like to be a journalist when people go on there, like Graham Norton, who has, say, 4 people on a Friday night who've written a book. You've got to have read enough of the book to be able to do a decent interview, haven't you?
Yes, you have. Yeah, absolutely. So moving into the Fueled by Fire section, I'm going to tell you what has fueled my fire for reading, among other things, is that I was trying to work out why apart from when I'm in bed at night, I've got my medium weight duvet on here now, it's very cosy. I was trying to work out why I was struggling to read in the daytime as a leisure activity, and I realised that it's because it makes everything too quiet. So what I thought was, okay, so how can I make it not quiet when I'm reading, but still enjoy reading and do it in the daytime? And I thought I could play some music in the background. I thought, well, I can't play my own normal kind of music because it's too distracting and too upbeat and too many lyrics. And I thought, no, I could try some classical music. So I've got what's it called? iTunes Music, which is, I don't know, $7.99 a month or something. You get access to unlimited music. And I thought I did a little search for classical music, and the first thing that came up was a 50-track classical chill-out album. Heather will roll in her grave when she hears this. But
yes, indeed.
it's almost as bad as the album I bought that was music off the adverts. But, anyway, yeah. So the first thing was Debussy. I do like Debussy, and so I started listening. And I had to get it just the right level of noise. But yes, I was then able to read and enjoy and feel like I was doing an enjoyable activity rather than doing something that was done on your own if you live by yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Well, for me, that's the beauty of it. But we do live in opposite land, you and I. So I totally. I mean, I'm hearing you. I hear what you say. What is my response to that.
So now I know how I can do that. So and the other thing that's fueled my fire this week is I've been learning a bit more about Facebook Live, how to do, because Facebook Watch is coming.
Oh yes,
yeah. And I was doing,
because you asked us about your live show, didn't you?
Yeah, because I want to sort of do, like Bernadette does. She does 5 days of live shows and then stops. But she covers, a good chunky topic on those 5 days. And I was thinking, I could do that. Because I'm thinking also, about other ways to market my Be Everywhere online program, because 3 or 4 clients have had some stonking results now, or they've all tripled their money or more. And I've really got to get the word out about this more. But, I'm just not in a position at the moment because of going home and everything to spend too much more on Facebook ads. I do boost my VZs and things like that. So I'm doing what I teach in the course, but, to spend any more at this stage is not something I want to do. So I just thought, how else can I get the word out? And I thought Facebook Live is the best way. That's free and it gets a fantastic reach. So I've been learning. I talked about Duggan briefly because he does these little marketing tips on lead gen social, and he does them really well. And I noticed he was using Zoom. So I was looking into, what kind of software you could use to make it easy to do lives on your desktop. And Zoom is good, but you have to pay something. You have to upgrade by $40 a month to do it from Zoom. And I'm trying to keep my monthly outgoings down. I'm trying not to keep incurring more little monthly costs, because they do run away with you. So
Nicola, does that? Yes, they do, and that's what our clients always used to moan at you about in the money gym, and you used to say, get a grip, if you're building a business, you need to spend them. Let me go back to Matt Duggan and Zoom. Does that mean you record it on your desktop and it goes out as live but isn't actually live, or are you
live,
broadcasting? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Zoom's got a hookup to Facebook Live now, and so has something called, one second, callers, something TV, BeLive.tv or something like that. Anyway, that's another $50 a month. But there is a thing called OBS, which is, I've mentioned before in the podcast, I'm sure. But I was struggling to use it because somehow I'd managed to split the screen. So anyway, I've fixed that now. So yeah, OBS, Open Broadcasting System, it's called. You can download it for free and it works quite easily, and you can Google how to use it, and it's not that difficult. So by the time I'd figured all that out, I'd gone live and I couldn't make it do what I wanted it to do. So I then stopped, and then I've been too busy with Right Club. So I'm going to start on Monday, I think, and do a week.
Okay, let me ask a question about the $49 for Zoom. When you're marketing, when you're selling Be Everywhere online from your Facebook Lives using Zoom, what if you make a customer? What's their spend?
They can choose to spend $97 a month, and just
Okay, so for every $97, for every one you get a month, you've got your Zoom more than paid for, haven't you?
Yes, I have, Judith. But I ran up. I was having that attitude, and I realised that my overheads had gone to more than £500 a month just in those little dentals.
Yeah,
and I've got some quite heavy monthly recurring fees for my forum and for my app, and also for the hosting for those things. And also, obviously, I pay for Phoebe to do my VZine every week, and I also pay Sarah for the for me. And I didn't want to just keep running up overheads on that I would be able to sell enough clients to cover them. I thought there's got to be a balance between living in the future and living in the current day.
Yes. Oh, well, lovely. I mean, I tried to teach you this about a decade ago. I'm so pleased to hear that it's catching on. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, I think I'm investing enough in my business at the moment. And I want
exactly. I used to say that to you. That's exactly the point. This endless reinvestment and delayed gratification is not a great way to be self-employed, because you just never feel you're getting a fair return on the effort you're putting in. Yeah,
it's not even about the effort. It's the fact that I personally, from affiliate income largely and personal one-to-one coaching income, and then supporting the membership side of the business. And I want to get the membership side of the business washing its own face before I willy-nilly sign up for anything else.
Yeah.
So if there's a free available bit of software out there that's easy to use, then I'm going to choose that.
Yeah.
So that's it. But I think Facebook, I was thinking, what do I tell my clients to do? And I tell them to do Facebook Lives. And I thought, why don't I do Facebook Lives? And first of all, it was because the internet connection is pretty pants out here, even though I'm on wired broadband. The second one was that, I didn't really want to do it from my phone because I find it quite fiddly from my phone. And then I thought, let's just solve those problems, shall we?
Yes.
So there we go. What's fueled your fire this week then?
Well, it's all booky stuff. So I decided to set the price of my book at £11 because it's a lucky number, which I Googled, lucky numbers. I originally wanted to charge a tenner for it. I made up my mind. Somebody said, you know, what are you going to charge as a tenner? Oh, she said, it doesn't seem quite enough. So I chose 11. And when I go to print on demand, I'll tell you about it in a minute. But, you know, the brilliant thing about £11 is the cost of cells and PayPal comes to slightly less than £1. So I still end up with my tenner. So I'm a bit happy about that.
Yeah.
When it comes to print on demand, and this is leading into a rant, which is going to be our focus of the week,
Ooh.
I intend to put the costs of print on demand on top of the £11. And I've been hunting, because I still want to end up with my tenner, which isn't going to be possible. And I've been hunting around for the best, most cost-efficient way for a reader to do that. And at the beginning of this journey, and some small part of me now really, really, really didn't want to do it with Amazon, since I'm doing all the marketing. So what's the point of Amazon? I'd rather do the marketing to my own page. Well, I've discovered the point, but we'll come back to that. But Matt, the guy that did the design and print, was keen for Amazon. And that would make it easy, you know, particularly for Kindle people who've struggled from cells to get it on their gadgets and so forth. For the first 48 hours after launch, i.e. all last weekend, I couldn't really get over my resistance to Amazon. It was a real barrier for me. And Matt and I batted back and forth these emails all weekend. And in the end, he sort of lost patience with me. And you asked me to get out some notes on his opinion, which I've got to share later on. But for the whole weekend, I didn't want to do it, but I was focused on selling the ebooks. I'm not sure why I didn't want to do it, because I am a keen Amazon shopper. Yeah. And I always teach my clients to sell as they buy, and I buy from Amazon, but I never buy a book from Amazon because I'm 100% digital. I buy a digital download, and I really just want to sell it as a digital ebook, but it seems that more than half of the world, or half of the world almost exactly, are not like me, and that's fair enough. And so I worked out in the end I just have to bite the bullet, not least because several people wrote in and said, I'm waiting for the print on demand one, and several people have been asking me for months, this will be available in print, won't it? And somebody wrote from America and said, can I buy a print one in America? And you know, I regret, honestly, the honest truth is I regret saying I would also make a print version. And volumes 2 and onwards probably won't be. And let me tell you why. Because if this woman, this Facebook woman, ads woman, works out, I think Facebook ads and a digital book is a lovely partnership. And I may need never go to the print people. And somebody who's 100% digital like me is an ideal client for me. So it's really, you know, that debate raged with me all weekend. And I got quite cross with Amazon. And consequently, the story that breaks out between me and Amazon is fascinating and leads us to focus of the week. Why on earth would anyone ever choose to sell anything on Amazon?
Here at Own It, we personally believe that leaders are readers, but sometimes it's just not convenient to read and you'd rather listen instead. For listeners of Own It the podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. A couple of titles we've picked out for you particularly are Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg or Crush It, Why Now is the Time to Cash In on Your Passion by Gary Vaynerchuk. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/ownit. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ownit for your free audiobook. You can pick one of the ones I've chosen for you, or you can choose something else. Enjoy your listen. Because Amazon helps you sell it by showing it to other potential customers.
Not immediately, it doesn't. No, it doesn't immediately. Okay, so when we get to Matt's notes, we'll tell you about that. So first of all, I have to increase my price by about 50% for a print-on-demand book, which will make it, I think people will have to think twice about it. And so my price will go up to, you know, $15, $16, $17, and I'll make half or less of what I make on the digital book. And then there's the WBN tax form, which, to be fair, this time I did it was much easier than last time because they've put it all online. Yeah. And the tiddly little bits of income that you have to account for, and the spreadsheets, which are impenetrable because they come in from all the different territories and all the different currencies and all the different VAT rules in there. And it reminds me of when I was an accountant and clients used to get these big orders from Harrods or Marks and Spencer's, and we think, oh, we've made it. This is our big breakthrough. Only you didn't have to wait for months while they cheese-pared your margins and kept your money and blah, blah, blah. Now, the answer is reach. Although, obviously, reach and ease, I still have to do all the marketing. So what am I paying for then? And then I realized, as I work my thinking around 360 degrees, basically 180 degrees. I thought of Guy Levine's point that he always used to make, which is every £5 I receive instead of 10 for my book from Amazon is a lead I'm being paid for, and the chance of people discovering me, joining my marketing funnel, and eventually becoming a client, or at least being up for buying volume 2. And that's a maybe. And I've got some notes of Matt's thoughts on this topic, if you would like to hear them, or shall I draw breath while you contribute at this point?
If I want a book, I don't actually look at how much it is. So, and if I wanted, I do buy Kindle books, but I'm less likely to read a book if it's a Kindle book. If I really want to make sure I read a book, I'll order the print one, and I don't even look at how much it is. I'll just order it. I did once order a book that was something like $70, and that did give me pause for thought. But I mean, I don't care how much the books that I want are, and if I want them in print because I know I'm more likely to read them, then I'll buy them in print.
Noted. Okay, so here's Matt's thoughts. Unless you're very confident about driving large numbers of website, then Amazon is always the best way to go. In the UK, they have up to 90% of all online book sales, digital and paperback.
Ooh.
If you can drive people to buy the book on Amazon, then Amazon's algorithm will further promote your book. Royalty rates are also pretty good for Kindle, so you can always price quite low on Amazon and change the price as often as you want. There are plenty of places to sell ebooks, but most people start with Amazon simply because they have such a ridiculous market share and everywhere else is tiny percentages. He says he mostly reads ebooks, but he sells both, and his paperbacks outsell his ebooks by about 50 to 1.
Wow.
It's probably why Amazon does so well with ebooks, because they have the shop and everything just works. Most people don't know how to sideload files onto their devices, and most won't have used the email to Kindle option before either, which I've discovered this week, and I'll tell you more about that later. Then he says, if you're looking at CreateSpace versus Lulu, then almost everyone goes with CreateSpace. He says, looking back over the years, I've done maybe 2 Lulu books in the past 5 years. As well as dominating the ebook market, Amazon dominate the online print market too, around 80% according to their rivals. So selling price royalties from Amazon are the number one priority for most authors. Print royalty rates are fairly low as printing on demand is expensive, but CreateSpace gives a much better royalty on Amazon than Lulu. Lulu can appear attractive as they take 20% cut of profits rather than 40% at CreateSpace, but it's 20% of a much smaller amount. He says he'd rather there was a little competition for Amazon, and when he started out there was some debate, but over the years that's pretty much disappeared. That's where the market is. So if you're using print on demand or selling ebooks other than on your own site, this is the place to target. If you're only thinking of selling print on demand books direct from your own website, then Lulu might be competitive. Now, here's my favorite bit from him. Imagine a bookshop on the high street. Your book is available to order. 30 people come in and order a copy, so they begin to stock it on the shelves. 100 people buy a copy from the shelves, so they put it on a table in the middle of the shop floor. 250 people buy a copy from the table, so they put it in the window, and that's what you get with Amazon. Then he says, your model is different, and as you say, you're getting leads. There aren't many people who have the ready-made market or who can direct people to their website effectively, and you're seeing the book as an advert for your services, then you're on a whole different economic model. I'm not a fan of Amazon either, but that's where online books sell. No guarantees, as there are millions of books that sell nothing at all. But if your book does take off, ... you might be best concentrating on your own site initially rather than splitting your marketing energies, because if you don't direct people to Amazon, it's unlikely to gain traction. Then there's something he says at the end, and I don't understand it, but I'm hoping you might. I'll say it slowly. One trick is that a lot of your UK sales will actually be fulfilled in euros. So pricing the book a touch higher in euros compared to GBP can earn you more money, even if clients pay the same. I don't understand that at all, do you?
I don't understand at all, no. I don't see why.
No, I might have to ask him to explain that.
Yeah. I don't see why anyone in the UK would buy in a euro.
I'm thinking that there aren't very many Amazons, are there? There's France and Germany and UK, and how many euro branches are there of Amazon? Do you remember?
At all.
So I think what he's saying is that some of those, if you order it for Greece, it'll come from the UK, and you might pay in euros. I think, that's what he's saying, I think.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's saying, yeah. Thinking about it.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. So I'll shut up now, and let's hear what you think.
My thoughts are, having published 5 books, mostly on Amazon, 2 of them through a traditional, sort of semi-traditional publisher. The main thing, Neil Asher's got a really good book on how to get to number 1 on Amazon, because he wrote a book and got it to number 1 on Amazon. I know bits and pieces. The main thing seems to be getting the most number of sales in the shortest time frame, like a week. And the second biggest thing is getting as many reviews as quickly as possible as you can. Reviews seem to make a real big difference. And if that's what helps you get in the charts. Now, staying in the charts is another thing entirely. And there's a really good person in Brighton with red hair, whose name will come to me in a moment. She has written 4 or 5 books. And not only did she get into number 1, she keeps them at number 1 too. So that's got to be worth looking at. Let me have a look at book marketing.
It'll come to you later, and you could let me know, and I could put it in the show notes.
Okay. All right. Anyway, she is absolutely superb at book marketing, and so it's about the main challenge with book marketing on Amazon is that if someone buys, you don't have a thank you page that you can put. Say, for example, we're using Facebook ads. You don't have a thank you page you can put a pixel on. So you have to have a call to action in the book that people are going to do within 28 days. Otherwise, your Facebook pixel won't track that they came from an ad through Amazon. But it can be done, so just be aware of that. And I'm sure And the best thing about doing it, of course,
it's too late for me. It's too late for me to have an Amazon-related call to action because the book's already been uploaded, which we'll come to in a minute. But one thing there, I also own and have read and studied twice Ryan Deiss's number 1 book strategy, whatever it's called, NOBS. So I know how to do it. It's not very appealing to me, to be honest. Really, I'm grudgingly on Amazon so that people who want a print copy can have a print copy. Next time, I won't. Next time, I won't be doing it. It'll be Facebook ads and digital only.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, there's no point in worrying about it then, is there? Just you're there because you have to.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. But I've got some interesting things to tell you later on this.
Oh, okay.
Shall we whiz on to Word of the Week?
We could do, yes. Except I haven't got one. I hadn't got that far.
Oh, okay. I'll go with mine, shall I?
Yeah, you do yours first and I'll think up one.
Yes, mine obviously is author. I'm a self-published one now, a proper one. I've published books before, but never at this length or with this seriousness of intent, and it feels different. On Sunday, having sold 13 copies on Saturday, I woke up feeling completely different with a different intent to take myself seriously in that capacity too. So I'm enjoying that bit. You can tell it's Thursday. I'm slightly over it now because this was last weekend. But yesterday, I didn't do any particular marketing, had a busy day, sold 2 copies, and I remember thinking, if I sold 2 copies every day for the rest of my life, that would be lovely. Thanks very much.
Yes, it would. My word of the week is integrity, which has just popped into my head because I was thinking about all the things that people do to market their books that are not in integrity, i.e. buying reviews on
No, quite.
Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
Yes, quite. I agree with you. Yeah.
A lot of shenanigans going on. And people can tell, and there are quite a lot of authors around here actually, and some of them do resort to those things. But the rest of the people who are in the know do know. So I think it's a challenge. I'm a marketeer. I like to do anything I probably can to give a business a chance. But there are certain things that are just shooting yourself in the foot. And how do you sleep at night? And I won't go there. So got to have a bit of integrity in your marketing, I think.
Yeah, no, No, I agree with you. They're not very appealing to me either, to be honest. And actually, for me, there is absolutely no desire to be able to call myself a number 1 bestseller on Amazon. None, 0, nothing. I'd rather sell a lot more from my website.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. And the best thing about selling from a website is you can tell which Facebook ad generated the sale. So that's a good news for you and your marketing person. Cool.
There was a really nice... just before we go, there was a really nice thing that I put in our Facebook group yesterday where I think we're up to 20 sales now, and there's only one person in there I didn't know. So I went into my list to see if she was on my list, and she'd been on my list for 2 years. She'd opened every single one of my 110 newsletters,
Wow.
but never been in never been in touch in any way at all. She'd never emailed me. She'd never Facebook friended me. She'd never sent me a personal message. I couldn't find her on Facebook, but she bought a book, which is quite an interesting thing. If you think about how often we talk here about, no money in the list and long marketing funnels and blah, blah, blah. And it's always just pulls you up short. Is it worth writing 110 newsletters so she spends £11? Not sure. But it is if they do it in enough numbers, I suppose.
Yeah, and also if they tell people about you, it's you've got no way of tracking word of mouth referrals, have you, from that one person? She might be telling everyone about you.
She might.
Yeah, she might have been recommending you every week from each one of those newsletters.
Yes. She might. Yes.
Yeah. So project updates then. We've had quite a few of yours already. Have you got any more on this section? And can I put a bit of wood on the fire?
I have got I've got stats about my book, but I've also got stats about our 3 categories on iTunes.
Oh,
and one of them you're going to like a lot. 2 of them you're going to like a lot. Yeah. Shall I do that now, or are you putting the wood on the fire?
I've done it now. Got to keep the fire.
Okay. So we're still at number 78 in our original category. And we're going to kick ourselves when we look at these next 2 figures, because we're number 40 in society and culture, PJs, personal journals. And we're at number 35 in business news, above James Schramko.
Yes. In the UK, at least.
35. I mean, 35, that's half further up than we ever achieved in business management and marketing. And I'm not sure management and marketing is any more appropriate a place than personal journals or business news.
Well, I agree now. I mean, personal journals didn't feel right at all at the beginning, but it does now, because we're talking a lot more about our personal journeys to being digital nomads. That I'm not convinced that having good chart positions in the other ones has made any difference to downloads, but we'll be able to see in a second. So let's go and have a look.
Okay. And you don't have to discuss this on the podcast if you don't want to, but you did say to me yesterday you were still a bit down about it.
Oh, about the podcast? No, not at all. No, No, you've taken that. I've completely misled you there. I was feeling a little bit down about going to England, not down about the podcast. I feel very bullish about the podcast. I'm so sorry that you thought that.
Okay. No. It's just that we were talking. For the benefit of the general listener, we were talking about this year, for the first year ever, we're going to miss 2 weeks over Christmas and New Year. They'll still get one, Nicola, on the 22nd. So next week's we need to talk about Christmas. But our first one in the new year, they won't get until the 12th. And we're going to record that on the 4th or 5th, I think it is, 5th. So on the 5th, the first one we do when we get back in January, we want to talk about New Year. So we'll review our year in arrears next week, and we'll review our years in advance the following week, shall we?
Yes. And I was just, I'm saying that, you know what that is? That's a lack of an Oxford comma. Because I remember exactly.
I think it might be.
Yeah, the Oxford comma would have saved me there from upsetting you. I'm so sorry.
Yes, it might have done. No, I assumed the 2 were connected. You didn't upset me at all, but I assumed the 2 were connected, although I made a more oblique connection because of the lack of the comma.
Yes. Well, actually, if you look at it, 1 month.
What's that? 1 month?
Trend. That is a strong upward trend.
So
all our activities
that's marvellous.
Because we've only been really doing all these things for a month, haven't we? So I think we can definitely say it's having.
Less.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only about 3 weeks, actually.
Yeah. So there you go. That's a good little positive thing. No, God, I'm feeling very bullish about the podcast after the whole thing that, where we talked about it the other week, where it's about the attracting people, affirming people before they do business with you, and keeping in touch with current clients, and about keeping in touch with previous clients who may well come back. So I've got it all straight in my head now about this podcast. It's all good. So
shall I tell you some more stats?
Yeah, go on then. I love them. It's geeky week.
Book sales 20.
Yes.
Opt-ins for a sample 12. More information about opting in for the sample 12 in a minute. And in the book, it says you're invited to join the Ask Judith group on Facebook, which is gated through 22 Social, where they join my equivalent of Infusionsoft, my SRM CRM thing.
Yeah.
And so I know that four people, well, most of the people who got a free one were already a member, and 4 people have already joined my funnel, I suppose the word would be for that.
Yeah.
A couple of people who said they were reading samples weren't, because I knew from MailChimp they hadn't opted in, so they can't read a sample without opting in, including that one who wrote from America to ask if the print on demand would be available there. And there were a number of people who missed the link to the download and emailed me. All fun, actually, because now I'm a bookshop owner and customer service is my thing. So actually quite like, you don't say to people, well, you numpty, you missed it, didn't you? You just send them another one. Now, project updates for you. There must be Sci-Fi News or Right Club News or something in this section.
Well, there is. I mean, my Kate Cocker, who is really, I've drawn to a close now because it's, as you pointed out, the longest 12 weeks in history. But we did a sort of wind-up call on it, and she actually had pulled together all her numbers, and she tripled her money. So she'd spent X on ads, and she tripled her money in terms of one-to-one clients. And of course, she said, but we haven't sold one course. So we were thinking about the course thing. We were thinking, okay, well, let's do a special offer because it's her birthday tomorrow. And we could do a special offer because she's been convinced that it was too expensive for the radio crowd. And then I was convinced that it was only because not enough eyeballs had seen it. So because we'd started to do that thing about giving away a sample as well. So we were giving away, because her course, each module got 5 or 6 videos in it, not to mention tick lists and worksheets. So we started giving away module 1. And I was saying to her, not enough people have had module 1 yet. You know, we need to get to 100 people who've had module 1 and nobody's bought before we know there's something wrong with the price or the copy. And we'd only got to about 21 people had module 1 before the 12 weeks ended. So she said, okay, so this is where it is. I've tripled my money, but I haven't sold a course. And then, of course, the minute we finished that call, she sold a course.
Yeah.
So she came back to me and she said, oh, God, this is such a funny game, isn't it? And I said, yes, it is.
Yes.
It's up and down.
Is.
It's up and down. It really is. And you try things and then you get despondent, then you try something else, then you wake up the next morning and try again. And when you get it working, it's such a fantastic feeling because it's basically money that you haven't had to work for again. You know, she did the work on creating the course and now it's, you know, we're starting to get some figures now. So if we spend X amount of click and we get X number of eyeballs on it and X number of people opt in for a sample and then X number of people buy, roughly. And that gives you a bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It gives you some business data to build your business plans on. What's that called, Judith? Business planning?
Well, that does it. Business data on which to build a business plan works for me.
Yeah, because, you know, it's only once you get to that first sale that you know, A, have you got a product people want or anyone wants? B, have you got a mechanism for selling it and delivering it that works? Or do you have to go back to the drawing board? But so many people just never get to that point of making the first sale. They're just constantly tweaking because I did a very much a quick and dirty minimum viable marketing funnel for this. The sales page was her talking about why people should invest in the course and what was in it and what the benefits were. And literally the sales page was a transcription of that video. I mean, and then with a button to buy at the bottom. And then we put a button to sample module 1, you know, so it really has been minimal. But I'm so thrilled because she's such a nice person and she's going to pivot into the business world because she's noticed that there's a really big lack of training for corporate people who now have to do their best presentations on webinar because corporates aren't flying people around the world anymore to present to other corporate people. They're having to do it all on webinar and Zoom now. So her next course is going to be how to, you know, make the best of yourself. And she's going to start it off with, you know, a really, really messy background and bad lighting and a terrible camera angle. And she's going to actually, as she creates the tip, she's going to improve one of those things. So we've got lots of ideas and it's a project that's going to run, I think, because she's just so nice and she's recommending me to loads of people. So it's all good.
And what was the first course about?
The first course was how to become a radio presenter.
Okay.
But
And if Kate's listening, which I think she does listen, doesn't she? You said something very key. You said she thought the course was too expensive. If you can reframe that, Kate, you'll sell more. That's a vibrational barrier to sales.
Yes, and I've talked to her about this several times, and I've said to her, why don't you get Steph to do your quoting for clients so that you're not involved in that conversation, because you do have a bit of a limiting belief about how much people will pay for training in the radio presenter market. I said, you don't know how much money people have got socked away. We found this in the money gym all the time. We'd be talking to someone who looked and acted like they were poor, and then they turned out to have hundreds of grand stacked away in the old, really property. Yeah. So she is aware of her limiting beliefs in that, and she's handed it over to an automated marketing funnel and a mum-in-law who thinks she's the bee's knees, and who comes from a corporate background, so knows what corporates will pay.
Yeah, so it's all good. Do they have the same surname?
No, they don't. No.
Good. Well, I think that would be better, because then the mum-in-law looks like arm's length VA rather than my mother-in-law.
Exactly. And that works for me and Phoebe as well. So
yeah,
because we've got different names, so that's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. What? Anything else on project updates, or should we move on?
No. Let's move on.
Let's talk about who or what's impressed.
Well, mine's quite a long rant about Sells, which is the thing, SELZ, the Sells.com, the thing I've used to sell my books. I've used it before, and so I knew it was easy. And I think there is quite a low level, and last Saturday morning I started at the low paid level, and I can't remember what that was. Let's say it was $19 a month, but quite quickly I had to upgrade to $29 a month. I can't remember why now, but let me tell you what I get for that money, Nicola. And obviously 22 book sales covers that for me in a month. I get unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited customers. I get buy buttons and widgets. I get advanced analytics. I get customer management. I get a Facebook store. I get discount codes, secure digital file delivery, responsible to mobile and tablet, global tax settings, real-time fraud protection, customizable design themes, pages, and a blog, apps and integration. I can remove the Sells branding. I've got abandoned shopping cart. I've got custom domains, so judithmorgan.sells.com. It takes PayPal. It offers you their own money-taking thing, which is slightly more expensive, but not much. So people who don't like PayPal have got another choice. It's got 24/7 priority support, which frankly I would have gone bonkers without last weekend. Customer fields and worldwide shipping. But what I like best is this. I can see who got the email with the link in it and who didn't. I can see who downloaded it and who didn't. I can resend them, so I can contact them and say, I noticed that your email bounced. Can I send it to you? Can you either whitelist Sells or can I send it to you directly? I can do that on Facebook or my email or anyhow. I can message them on any topic. I can market to them in future. It's fast and efficient. 2 out of the first 18 sales didn't work. People didn't understand, didn't see the email in the link or the so. But I knew both of them, so I could contact them and had their email address with which to contact them, and I could sort that out. That's worth doing because then you're making a connection with a person. I contacted 2 who abandoned their cart, both pals, and they both did that. And Sells does that as well with 2 follow-up emails. They both did it because they thought they were buying the print book and wanted to wait for the print book. And now I know how to talk people through getting it onto their Kindle if they don't know how to do that. Support have been just fantastic. I have a shop on my Facebook page, which literally happened in one click on Sells, and bang, there it was in my sidebar. I'm chuffed. I've used it before, but never to this degree. At $49 a month, I don't think I'll go there. I could get a few more benefits, including license keys, but that means people can't share the documents. And already one man who's an uncle said, do you mind if I share my copy with my niece? And I think the license keys, I understand it. One of the questions in my book, number 26, is from a professional journalist who thinks that if people can get your stuff for free, you're not being a professional anymore. But I think it's a bit scarce, and I think it's overly protective, depending on your worldview. Because, as back to the Guy Levine point, if people pass it on and it's got my URL all over it, it's still doing marketing for me. Yeah, and in view of how important my book is to me, I shall be getting to know all of the features on Sells and using them. And analytics will be great when it comes to the Facebook ads.
I've never heard of it, Judith. Where did you? I mean, it's very physical products orientated, isn't it? Where did you hear about it in the first?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's digital products orientated.
Is it?
Yeah.
On the front seem to indicate otherwise, but it's very good. But where did you? I've never heard of it. Nobody in any of my groups has ever mentioned it.
Oh, I used it when I was selling other ebooks 2 or 3 years ago. Some of my clients have used it. I don't know why you haven't heard about it.
Oh, well, it looks really, really good, I've got to say.
I know. It's gorgeous. What's the lowest price level there? Can you see pricing?
Pricing.
There it is up the top. Yeah, so light was 17. And why did I upgrade? What was in the... except PayPal. I had to upgrade to standard, which was $29. You were seeing different pricing to me, interestingly.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yes, you can sell physical products. I wonder how you connect that. Do you have to supply them with stock, or
no? There would be some sort of
connect through to print on demand.
Yeah, there'd be some sort of fulfillment hookup. Fulfillment or whatever you do it yourself.
Okay.
So the only reason I said that was when you look at the front page, it's got pictures of furniture and clothes, which are physical.
Oh yes, of course. I didn't notice at all. I've only ever heard people using it for ebooks.
There's shoes, there's clothes, there's furniture. But anyway,
look at that. I saw all of that. I've been in and out of this website 1,000 times in the last week and never noticed that. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, obviously haven't been in the front page. It's really good. I'm just trying to think about comparison to other carts. There's Thrive Cart and there's obviously PayPal itself.
Oh, it's not really a cart. You're comparing it to Gumroad and the other one. I mean, it is a cart, but I don't think of it as a cart. I think of it as a digital, selling platform. So my comparisons were Gumroad and whatever the other one I was supposed to, eJunkie.
Yeah, I don't know anything about eJunkie at all, but so it's like a really, really super sophisticated cart with payment gateway and all that. I mean, the statistics alone and the fact that you can contact people who abandon the cart and stuff is fantastic.
I know. And when one day when we've got nothing better to do, I'll show you around the back end, my back end.
Oh, I'd love to
because yeah, exactly. I mean, it's riveting what you can do. I'll show you one day.
Yeah, cool. Can you? Here's a question for you then. What happens to people after they buy? Do they go to one of your thank you pages, or do they end up on a sales thank you page?
No idea, but I can't remember because it was last weekend, but I'll check that out and let you know.
Very important because you need to be able to get your Facebook pics on it. But I'm very convinced that with an operation of this sophistication, that there will be a way to get your Facebook pics on. Thank you.
I agree, yeah.
Very good, Judith. Well done. You've taught me something this week, which is always
there's a thing, Nicola. Now tell me who or what's impressed you.
Well, who or what's impressed me is Real Rap with Reynolds. And I can't. Where was I listening? Oh, I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk, trying to cheer myself up, and he was interviewing the guy who invented pencils of promise, which is Adam Braun, I think his name is. Do you know Pencils of Promise?
I do. Nice.
Yeah, it's a lovely charity that helps children in Africa, builds schools for children in Africa. Basically, I think 25 grand builds a school for children in Africa, $25,000, and he's built over 50 of them now. And he's only a young man, and I was really enjoying it. I first heard him being interviewed on Entrepreneur on Fire, and it actually made me cry when I was listening to it. So I pricked my ears up when Gary V was having a chat with him, and it turned out that Gary's invested in his new venture, which is called Mission U. So missionu.com, and it's the letter U, and that is because he believes that the school system in America is broken. People go into college because it's all prestige, and the parents like to swank about it. They run up he came across it because his girlfriend had run up over 100 grand's worth of debt going to college, and she, for one reason or another, she hadn't been able to finish, and she still had the debt. And it's the only debt in America you can't discharge by going bankrupt. So even if you end up going bankrupt, you can't afford to pay your debt, you still have to pay your debt. And so what he's doing with Mission U is he's setting up a college that's going to have different curriculum and different majors in it. But you don't pay a penny until after you leave, and then when you get a job over 50k a year, you start paying back your tuition fees from Mission U, which enables people to Mission U to go on then and educate other people. But he's been going around raising initial funds from lots of entrepreneurs and investors, because obviously he had to have a pot of cash to start with. And Gary Vee just basically heard about it in a taxi and invested straight away, because he's been saying for years that the college system's broken, and you go to college and you come out with no skills, and you get a degree, but it doesn't help you in the workplace, and it's being completely devalued now. And did you know that companies like Google and Arthur Andersen and PricewaterhouseCoopers are all lifting the thing that you have to have a BA to work for them now, because it's stopping so many people with talent from applying, because lots of people with talent didn't get a degree.
Well, interestingly, my brother went all the way to CEO of the bank and never had been to university, and I say that in the book, and neither of my careers do I have any qualifications in whatsoever.
Well, I didn't know that about your brother. That's awesome.
I know.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, exactly. People can start at the bottom and work their way up. And
well, interestingly, I say I don't know that it's possible now. From what you've just told me, it's entirely possible now.
It's becoming even more possible.
Yeah.
All these stupid, stuffy old firms are realising they're missing the best.
Right. And that program that we like, the A Word, about the autistic boy.
Yeah.
The teenage daughter is just getting ready to go to university, and there's a big scene this week where she doesn't want to go because she'll come out with £50,000 in debt.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, in this interview, they mentioned one of the callers, it was a call-in show at Ask Gary Vee, and one of the guys who called in was a guy called Mr. Reynolds, and he was a teacher of teenage children, and he has his own YouTube channel called Real Rap with Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's geared towards teachers who are trying to make a difference in the world. And I watched some of the videos on it, and it was absolutely stunning. And Gary Vee was so impressed with this guy that he said, would you get some of your students on a bus and bring them to New York, and I'll spend the day with them? So it was blub time all over the top.
I bet. Let me go back to Pencils of Promise. How much did you say it cost to build a school in Africa?
Well, when I listened to it, which was about a year or so ago, it was about $25,000.
Oh, it's so cheap, Nicola.
I know. So some I know that Pat Flynn actually sponsored two. He raised enough money in one sort of time frame to sponsor two schools.
Yeah.
To see them. I know Gary Vee's sponsored schools because I've seen pictures of him going out to see the schools, and you actually get to go and visit the schools that you've sponsored.
Well, I mean, you'd die a happy woman if you'd done that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and all the little kids getting their education.
Yeah.
It's funny, it's an interesting dichotomy about what I've just said, isn't there? Because at one end, education is everything for people in underdeveloped countries.
Yeah.
And at the other end, it's broken and for people in the most developed countries.
Yes. Human beings and money have ruined everything, basically.
Yeah. But I do believe in self-education, because everything we know, we've taught ourselves, haven't we?
Well, pretty much. Anything of value learned by doing, yes.
Yes, exactly. And you learned by doing a lot last weekend, so well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm very impressed. That's it. That's us.
Okay, see you soon. One more for you before Christmas. So next week we might make it sort of Christmassy and champagne corks and, Christmas bing, 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 bing noises, and maybe think about, our 2017s.
Yes, why not?
Okay.
No, I love those.
All right, babe. See you next week.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.